Hi everyone, good evening. Can you able to hear me? Okay. So today we'll talk about Active Directory, which means Azure Active Directory. So if we go to the Azure Active Directory, so basically Active Directory we use it for the is a mechanism for the centralized server to manage authorization and authentication. This is the purpose of the Active Directory. So generally we have Active Directory in the traditional data center itself. Active Directory. Okay, so the same thing we have in Azure Active Directory and Azure Active Directory domain services, something like this. So these are the three different things. So this is like in the on-premises you are going to manage it, and this is the service which you are going to get inside the AWS, sorry, Azure, and this is also same. So we are going to understand what is the difference between these three. So this one Active Directory in the on-premises data center, whatever you use, this one and this service is same. So whatever the service which you are going to get with this one, the same you are going to get with this Azure Active Directory domain services also. Okay. So now, first of all, we'll understand what is this. Those who don't know about what is Active Directory exactly, then first we'll discuss it, and then we'll talk about what we are getting inside the Azure, right? Then we'll see how to use it. So basically, in traditional data center, if you take, we have hundreds of servers. Previously, it may be physical servers, virtual servers, hundreds of Windows servers, hundreds of Unix servers, Linux, Solaris, AX, multiple Unix flavors, operating systems we have. So here to log into these machines, what we need to do? We need to have a credentials, right? So to log into these machines, we need to have a credentials, whether it's a Windows server or Linux servers, we need to have a credentials. And to support these servers, we have a different teams, Linux team, Windows team, and different application team. They also need to connect to these servers. So if they want, for example, I am from the Linux team and I want to connect to these machines as an administrator. Like recently, I joined this company, this project, and they need to create my credentials. When they want to create my credentials, then where they are going to create my credentials to log into these machines. Let's say if it is a Linux machine, then you are going to have a command called user add username. With the help of this command, we can able to create user account. But you need to create user account in each and every machine. Like that, if you have hundreds of machines, you need to create user account in all the machines manually, or maybe you are executing some script, then it is going to be created in each and every machine. Then only you can able to log into that machine as a new joiner. And you need to configure password also, the password whatever you configure. And obviously in the password it is going to have some expiry date for 30 days or to 20 days, whatever it may be, 90 days. It is going to be expired. So whenever you log in, whenever 90 days completes, so for example today you log into this machine or due to some reason, and password is getting expired after 90 days, you will reset. And after some time, maybe after a couple of days, again you got a ticket and you need to work on it and you need to log into another machine. And again there also you are going to reset your password. Like that, this administrative work is very very hectic, because we need to create user account in all the machines, and whenever you leave the organization, and then again we need to remove the user account in all the machines, or else unnecessary users will be still available, and it is not a good practice in the real world. In the companies, whenever any employee leave the organization, whatever the credentials, everything will be deleted. So again, for administrators, they need to delete each and every user account inside this complete servers, whether it's a Windows servers or Linux servers. So instead of that, Microsoft has been introduced a concept called domain controller. They call it as a domain controller, or we can, like, the name itself is called as an Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory server. So what they need to do, they will take one Windows server, and inside this Windows server, you will take any operating system like Windows, any version, and on top of that, you are going to install the Active Directory software, separate software need to install. So once this Active Directory is installed, the user accounts will be created over here. So once the user accounts are created here, whenever, for example, from the Linux team or Windows team, if we want to connect to this machine, then how this machine knows that this credentials has been available here. So to get that information, these machines all will be mapped to this AD. So once this AD has been installed, then it will be created as a membership, and inside this membership, this all the machines will be binded. Okay, we can call mapped, bind, so that whenever you log into this machine, whenever it is asked for your username and password, and you provide the details, then it will check locally first, and if that credentials are not available, then it will go and check here and it will find the credentials. So based on that, it will provide you login prompt for that one. So here, same way, all these Windows machines will be mapped and all the Linux machines will be mapped. Not only these machines, in your environment, like whoever currently working, uh, even in our offices also, printers, if you want to take the printer also, that printer will also will be in the network. So with the help of these credentials, you can able to access. I'm not sure how many of you are working, and how many of you have the printer access in our office. For example, if I want to go and give the print, first, in my whenever I go to office, I'll just give a print and select the printer name whichever is nearer to me, and when I go there, once I keep my access card over there, then it will detect my credentials and it will show me what are the prints was given by me. Then automatically, if you click on print, it will give the prints jobs. Okay, so that way, even printers, scanners will also will be in the network, and the file shares, some network file shares also will be able to accessible with the same credentials. The same credentials you will use log into the servers, and also the same credentials we will use log into our laptop also. Whatever the laptop we use to work nowadays, like every company is providing laptops. Previously, we used to have desktops. When I started my career, like at that time as a support job, we used to have a desktop, like, and that desktop needs to be used by three shifts: morning shift, afternoon shift, and the evening shift. Guys needs to use the laptops, so desktops. So there also, like, you need to provide your same credentials. It's not a local credentials. Currently, when you are using your own laptop, personal laptop, whatever the user account you create, you will log in with that credentials. With that same credentials, you cannot log in with the another laptop. But here with this AD credentials, once your machines are joined to this domain or membership, then you can able to log in. Like for example, if my machine want to add, uh, go to the PC and right click properties, and here, uh, 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 if you see here, rename this PC advanced, click on it, and here you can see computer name. So this is called work group. This is my individual machine. If you same thing, if you go and check your office laptops, then it will show you the domain name for whichever project you work. If you are working for some XYZ project, that domain name will be visible here. For example, this is the first time this laptop has been bought for your project, and they want to add this laptop into that particular domain. Then if you see here, you can change, join a domain or work group. So here they'll click. So this is a home, this computer is part of a business sweater. And next, my company uses a network with a domain. Next, and here you need to provide the domain name. So what are the domain name? Like if it is an init6 tech company, my own office is there, then I need to give init6tech.com. So what it will do, whenever you provide the credentials and a domain name here, it will go and talk to the Active Directory server. So through the network. So everything is possible through the network only. If you are not in the office network, then it is not possible to join this machine into the domain. So you need to provide the credentials. So as an Linux team, I might not have access to that servers. So what they will do, they will add it. Like whenever they hand over the laptops or your machines, so whoever is having access to the Active Directory, they will provide their credentials and they will add these machines to the Active Directory. So that from next time onwards, what happens, like you no need to provide the credentials which are already available inside this laptop. You can provide the credentials which are created in the Active Directory. That is what we use while we are working for not only the DevOps, like any job which you are doing. If you are using your company laptop, credentials are not created inside this local machine. It will be in the Active Directory, and the same credentials you can use it to log into another machine also. Okay, but nowadays they are restricting. For example, if it's laptops, uh, previously they used to give single user account, multiple devices login were able to allow, but nowadays in some of the companies they are not allowing single user account, single device login they are providing, because they are allocating a laptop to you for security reasons. You cannot log into the another laptop. Intentionally they are restricting. Okay, so that is how it will work. Just a second. Okay, so this is about the local laptops. So what is the plus point here? The centralized management of your user accounts. So here lot of things can be done. This Active Directory is very huge concept. Previously, before this cloud and DevOps came into the picture, previously when we were working as Linux administrators, Windows administrators, even there will be separate team for Windows team. They will manage Windows operating system, and again inside this Windows itself, AD team will be there. So dedicatedly, separate resource used to there for Active Directory. That much of huge topic it is. Very very big topic, Active Directory. So, but we don't want that much to learn about it. Okay, but to understand how Active Directory works, okay, what is the advantage of Active Directory, that we need to understand. And for example, if you're working as a DevOps, the same credentials, like for example, you are going to use for, let's say you have a Bitbucket URL. Okay, so you are going to log into the Bitbucket and you are going to log into Jira.com, like for your user stories, and same credentials you are going to use. This Active Directory credentials, Active Directory will be integrated with the multiple everything. For your other sites also you can able to log in for Nexus, JFrog, or any other some other things. Same credentials you can able to use it for across your machines or your own laptop or different websites. The same credential will be used. So that is an advantage. Like very simple, like uh, we are using ATMs, right? In the, even though I have a ICICI Bank ATM, I can able to use in different ATMs or maybe different other bank ATMs also. How it is possible? Because centrally it is connected, right? So whenever you are going to the ATM and you are trying to access, it will ask for your PIN. Whenever you enter the PIN based upon the chip details, backend it will check and it will detect your information. If it is a restricted, then again, if in one ATM, if you have another ATM, it is not available, because whenever you insert that your card into the ATM, it will go and check the centralized server. From there, it will fetching your details. Otherwise, each and every account holder details needs to be feed inside the ATM machines. So if it is missed in any of the ATMs, or maybe if you do any mistake, then again it's a big problem. This is because possible for the centralization. Previously, uh, whenever we used to go to the bank, we should go to the specific branch wherever you have account. Apart from that, if you go to some other branch, then they don't have your data, because manual records, whenever they used to have manual records, they'll check the books, all these things, or what are the computers they used to have, they used to have in the local, in that branch itself, your account details. So when you go to another branch or different state, if you want to go to the state bank in the different state, they couldn't able to find your details. You should go to the same branch wherever you have account. But now it's centralized. Your data is available in the central server, and anywhere you can able to access it. Any bank, like any branch, if you go, they can able to see your information. That is an advantage of this centralized management. So here also the users like it's follow authentication and authorization. So what is the difference between authentication and authorization? Can anyone explain? What's the difference between authentication and authorization? Authentication is how to access, authorization is what to access. Yeah, authorization is almost correct. Authentication is like, authentication means whenever you insert your ATM, okay, it will go and check whether this is a valid ATM, valid account holder or not. It will go and check in the database, and it will give you, then only it will give you the screen. Do you want to withdraw the cash, or you want to check the balance, right? Like you are logging to a machine, what are the credentials you are providing, so it will go and check in the server whether these credentials are available or not. That is called authentication. If it is okay, your authentication is successful. Then authorization means what kind of access you have on it. On ATM screen, if you see balance and change the pin, withdraw, this is what the options you can see, right? But backend, the main administrator might have more privileges. Like bank employee might have more options from his side, but he is giving you authorization only to do few changes, like withdraw cash and change the pin and check the balance. If you go to bank, he can do many things from his side because he is having more authorization than you. So they are giving limited authorization to you based upon what is required. So here also same thing. So whatever the users we create, first it will check authentication, and then authorization, what kind of permissions you are giving. Let's say I'm a Linux administrator, I can able to log into Windows machine, but I don't deal with the Windows servers. So for that purpose, I'm going to have a less access. Less means I cannot perform any activity when I log into that machine. So or else same way, if I'm connecting to this Bitbucket URLs or any other, like all these things will be managed with the groups, organizational unit concept inside this Active Directory. So they will apply group policies, and whenever they apply group policies, then you are going to have a restrictions. So that is called authorization. So authentication is to log in successfully. First of all, once you log in, what kind of access you have, that is called authorization. Understood? So this is how we used to manage in the traditional center, and this is a famous product from the Microsoft. 99 point organizations, every organization will have this Active Directory, means Microsoft product. This is a Microsoft product. So most of the companies use this because everyone needs this centralized mechanism. So maximum companies will use this Active Directory only, and this is monopoly. There is no other option to use apart from this. So this is a big means very good service and a very advantage for the Microsoft also. By showing this service also, lot of they are converting their customers from converting cloud to different, going to a different cloud. They are asking to come to their cloud because this is their service. So the same service they are providing this one, but uh, whatever we discuss now, this Active Directory, the same service you are going to get from this service, Azure Active Directory Domain Services. But this is completely different again. Azure Active Directory is completely different. It's not the same. So this is like a IAM service in the AWS. I am not sure how many of you are aware about the AWS. In IAM means inside your Azure portal, what level of access you want, that is provided from this Azure Active Directory. I'm not sure like how many of you are aware about the AWS. Have you completed AWS course, or some have basic idea? So in Azure, whatever you are creating virtual machines, you are creating storage accounts, you are creating databases, lot of services are there. You are creating Kubernetes cluster, Azure Kubernetes cluster, you are going to create Azure container registries, lot of things you'll create, right? On those services, to provide authentication and authorization, we use Azure Active Directory service. Okay, so now what we are going to do, let's say you have a on premises and a cloud here. So now here you are creating different services. Virtual machines is a one. I'm not talking about logging into the virtual machine. To access the virtual machine means to create a virtual machine, to delete a virtual machine, to attach a disk to virtual machine, or some other settings you want to change. You want to add some network card to the virtual machine. These kind of activities in the Azure, if you want to do, you should have access, right? As of now, we are logging to the Azure portal with the credentials which we created during our account creation. But in the real world, you are not going to have that main credentials. They are going to create separate individual accounts, and then whatever the access you have, based on that you can able to access the services. To provide those access and authorization, we use Azure Active Directory. Actually, I'm looking for a documentation, but it's not providing. Azure why pricing. Okay, if you see here, Azure Active Directory. So don't get confused. This is a Active Directory which we use in on premises, and Azure Active Directory is a cloud-based identity and access management service. So Azure AD enables your employees access external resources such as 365, Azure Portal, and thousands of other SaaS applications. Also helps them access internal resources like apps on your corporate internet. So this is completely internally you can able to use it. Okay, and Azure Active Directory domain services. So if you see here, Azure Active Domain Services enables you to use managed domain services such as Windows Domain Join, Group Policy, LDAP, and Kerberos authentication without having to deploy, manage, or patch domain controllers. So this is same. Understood? So this Azure Active Directory domain services and this is same and this is different. Okay. So now we'll talk about these two, how to do that. And here now what we are going to do, let's say you have on premises and here also you have an active directory server here, and here this active directory server you're using to log into the servers and some other portals or printers, something like that. And now you have Azure portal also, like you are migrating your on premises to Azure. Now what happens, to access, for example, I am like using here this is my user account and some init 6, this is assume, sorry. Okay, so this is my organization and we are migrating here. If I want to access Azure portal, then how? So here in the Azure Active Directory, we need to create a credentials here. Otherwise, you cannot able to access Azure portal. If this person, when they decided want to migrate, then he need to log into this portal. So how he is going to log in? So here we need to create separate credentials here. If I go to the portal dot, so I'll go to the Azure Active Directory. And whenever you first time providing all the information, credit card details, create account, right, at that time itself back end, this is going to be created. This is default directory, and that credentials will be created here. And if you see users one, it will be created. And under this, if you see users, here you need to create a user account here. So this is the credentials. I'm logging to this Microsoft Azure. Just a second. Okay, so here we need to create credentials and we need to provide access, like what you want to access in this Azure portal. We need to provide access. Let's say we don't want all services access, right? Only maybe if you are migrating, then we want virtual machines or maybe storage account, to whichever services we want to work, only those services we want to provide. So here we need to create user again, and here domain will be different until unless you configure domain here also, whatever the domain which you configured in your on premises galaxytech.com in the DNS. If you remember when we discussed about DNS, that is our domain name. The same domain name at the time of configuring Active Directory also will provide the same domain name. So that's the reason whenever we create user account in the AD, we'll get our username will be like a Praveen K, for example, at the rate IBM.com or TCS.com. This is companies. But from that company, if you work for any other project, the client project, again, they will create your credentials. So, like Praveen K at the rate Tesla.com, something like this. Okay, we are going to have our own credentials. So, this domain name will be configured in the DNS, and same domain name will be inside the AD, Active Directory. At the time of configuring it, we'll provide it. So, but here domain name is different as of now. In real time, here also should configure the same domain name. But as of now, we are not doing that. So instead of using again different credentials, what I want, the same credentials, I want to use it to access this portal. To do that, what we can do, uh, here we have an option called Azure AD Connect. Where is it? This one. Okay, Azure lift and shift legacy applications running on premises, Azure AD domain services. This one. Okay, Azure AD Connect. With the help of this, what we can do, whatever the credentials has been available already inside this AD, we can use those credentials here, and then you can provide access to it. So you no need to create a again credentials over here. Otherwise, you need to have maintained two credentials. One credential is this one and another one this one. So instead of that, whatever the credentials are here, that can be provided, means sync. We can enable sync between this one and Azure Active Directory with the help of this Azure AD Connect. As of now, sync has never run and not enabled. So we will use this and we will enable. I'll show you, maybe tomorrow I'll show you. I'll create user accounts here, and how to sync that, and how it will be visible if we go to the user. So without creating here locally, that user accounts will be available here, and then we will provide access to that user account. What level of access he want, then based on that he can able to access. This is what we'll discuss. But before that, forget about this one. As of now, we'll see tomorrow about this. We'll talk about this one as of now, Azure. So assume you don't have any on premises, everything is in the Azure. Now always we are logging with the direct main credentials. So instead of that, if you create other credentials, user accounts, then how we are going to provide access to those user accounts to access different services. Now we'll see that. So here in the users, click on new user, create a new user, and provide the username. So I am going to give Vijay, and here if you see the domain name, Galaxy, Azure, Gmail, this is completely what are the email ID we are using. This is looks like our domain now. At the rate Galaxy, Azure, Gmail dot on Microsoft.com. We can change this, okay, by changing the domain name, but that is not our topic now. So now display name, and what is the password, and remember the password. It's not auto generated password. I will give, this is a password. Okay. Uh, okay. So password has been provided. Account enabled. So if not checked, this user will be blocked from signing in. This can be updated after user creation. And before that, I would like to tell, as I was telling, like these credentials can able to log in here. That is called as an SSO. That procedure is called as a SSO, single sign on. This is called single sign on, means the same credentials you can able to log in here also. That is called single sign on. So now next properties, first name, user type. What is the user type? Member or guest? He is a member. And job title, all this information is not required, you can ignore. And assignments, make up to 20 group or role assignments. You can only add a user to a maximum of one administrator unit. So as of now I don't assign any role here. Review and create. Now he is an individual user we created, right? Now we'll use the same credentials. So just refresh it. Remember the password we'll use, and where is the user account? Okay, so this is a user account. Now I'm going to copy these credentials and I will try to log into this portal with these credentials. So this is an email ID. I'll take it and I'll go to incognito mode, portal.azure.com, and I'll provide credentials and password, provided the password. Hmm. 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 Oh, what password I gave? Forgot. Let me reset password. I should know the original password or reset password. Password as temporary password. Okay, this is a temporary password. I'm using it. I'm I might forgot or not providing the correct password. This is the password. So it is asking what is your current password, because whenever we create credentials, we will give it to the user, right? So when user logs in for the first time, he should change his own password. Otherwise, we will know as an administrators, we will know his password. So that's why it should change his password. Now, so sign in. Your organization requires additional security information. Okay. So Microsoft Authenticate Rapid is expecting. So I don't want as of now. You can enable Microsoft Authenticate Wrap so that it will prompt you to your mobile also. If you press yes, approve, then only it will log in. So when I log in with these credentials, I could able to log in, but I don't have access to any of the resources. Like if you see, for example, if I go to the subscriptions, so I don't see your current access does not include permissions to view any subscriptions. You cannot do anything because I just created a user account. So by default, it doesn't have any access. So if I want to give access, then what I should do, go here for which resource you want to give access, or else first what we'll do, uh, let's go and to whichever resource you want to provide access. Let's see whether we have any virtual machines. We don't have virtual machines. What we have, storage account. Okay, we have one storage account. We'll go there, and inside that you can see access control, right? So here access control, and under this you can able to see check access, view my access, check access, and here under this roles and assignments you can able to add a role here. If you have any deny also you can able to see here, you can able to find it here. Okay, so if you want to provide access, grant access to this resource, grant access to resources by assigning a role. So add role assignment here, and what kind of a role you want to assign. So if you see here, multiple roles are available for storage account. Not only just read and write, inside the storage a lot of things will be there. So specifically granular permissions also you can able to provide them. So if you see here, reader and data access, resource policy contributor, role based access, site recovery, and storage blob delegator. So something like this you can able to provide. So now what I feel like, instead of giving to the storage account, I'll go to the subscription. Okay, so we'll provide access to the subscription. Without giving access to subscription, he might not able to log access the individual resource. So access control, same IAM. So for every resource you can able to see here. So to whichever resource you want to provide access, you can go to that resource and you can provide or deny restrict access, right? So if you click add role assignment, here also possible, or here also it's possible. So click here, add role assignment, and if you see here, this is a subscription. So subscription means what? Inside that all the resources will be there. If you see, these are all the resources. 5 pages are there, like Kubernetes service, front door, okay, and what else? This one, ACR, Azure Container Registry. Like this, multiple resources are available. If you see next, maximum resources are going to be available. But what kind of role you want to give? Where is the previous one? So starting, if you see here, reader view all resources but does not allow you to make any changes. So this is the one. There will be contributor, owner role will be there. Where is owner? Why it cannot able to search it? Okay, so let's do one thing. I'll give this reader access. Okay, I'll select this. So this role I'm assigning to that particular user, so that he is going to have access, only read only access. Now next, so this is not a manager identity. So we are going to give user group or service principal and select members, and this is the role. And members means as of now only one user account is created. We can see that user account, and this is the one. We can select this user. So once it is done, click on select. So this is a user account. And now next, review and assign. So now we provided what? Read access to the subscription. So subscription means, if you remember in the first session we discussed a hierarchy. So under the subscription you have a resource group, and under the resource group you will have a resources. So now we'll go and see whether you can able to access or not. As of now, if you see, nothing is available. I think no need to log out or log in. Just refresh will work. Now if you see, you can able to see Azure subscription, and the account is Vijay, and this is an Azure subscription. This is how you can able to see. Oh my god, current cost is 2300. So previously he could not able to see that. Now he can able to see. Now what we are going to do, we'll try to create something. So add more subscriptions, checking your offer eligibility. So we need to create a pay as you go. Ask later, not required MFA as of now. And to create subscription, all this information it is expecting. Okay, we'll provide some XYZ details. Okay, it is asking use a different phone to verify your identity. Enter country code in your phone number. Mm, 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 mm. Mhm. Now I need to fill all these details, and it is expecting, it is having some problem. Now I don't have that number with me as of now. So instead of that, what we'll do, uh, we'll go and try to create any resource or resource group. Let's go and try to create resource groups, because we have access to subscription as a read access, but or else we can go and delete the existing resource group, delete resource group, or create new resource group. Oh, lot of resources. VNGRG. Yes. Fail to delete resource group. The client with object ID does not have authorization to perform this action, because we provided access to only subscription. So that's the reason, and that too we provide only read only access. That is the reason cannot able to delete it. So now again what will go, he cannot delete, and he cannot create anything, he cannot modify, only read only access. So again we'll go to this one, and add role, and now I don't know why this is not working. This resource. Okay, I'll go there. Let me go to the resource groups, and VNG resource group, and access control, add role, and now here view my access. This is full server administrator. Okay. So roles assignments. Okay. Here if you see owner grant full access, contributor grant full access, and the difference between owner and contributor is contributor cannot provide or assign roles to other users. He will have full access, but he cannot provide access to other users. That is the only difference between owner and contributor. And now what I'm going to see, I'll just go and assign this contributor role for this resource group. Role assignments, add role assignments. Owner, contributor. Okay, so I'm going to give contributor here. Next, and same user I'm selecting. Select next and done. So contributor means he is going to have full access. Then again we'll go here and we'll do just a refresh. So previously cannot able to delete this resource group, right? So now we can able to delete this resource group. So once this is done, I think it is done. And now, as of now, I'm inside this VNGRG as an Vijay user account. So I'm going to click on delete resource group and will provide VNGRG delete. Now it's getting deleted. If you see here, it is not giving any error. So this way we can able to provide access to individual user accounts to have access to the specific resource to which resource you want to provide access. Okay, as I mentioned, granular level of permissions also we can provide. And here custom roles, you can able to create your own custom roles also. You can able to provide it here. If you see here, add custom role, like the same thing which is available in the AWS also. You can have your own script and customize it. Based on that it will work. Same way here also. So what are the roles you want to assign, you want to block? Based on this, in real time also, whenever if you're not able to access few services, which means what? See, if I'm working as a DevOps engineer and I might not require to log into each and every services of the Azure. There might be separate team, Azure administrator or architect team will be there. They are managing a complete everything. But for me as a DevOps engineer, they provided some access like container registry to store the Docker images or to check my virtual machines. Okay, wherever I'm deploying my application, everything. Or sometimes I want a Azure Kubernetes cluster, then they are going to provide me access. This is how. This is one of the scenario. Okay, there will be, even as a DevOps engineer, you should have a cloud knowledge, and the whoever completely working on Azure, he should have more knowledge. This is how it will work. Like whoever completely working on cloud, then he is going to have full access. Full means most of the services having access. As a DevOps engineer, I don't need access to everything. So to whichever services I'm using for my project, only those services only we need access, and to finish my DevOps job, that is how I will manage. Or else in some organizations, even DevOps guy also will manage everything. No, there will be no separate top level global team will be there to manage cloud. You are the only team, DevOps team needs to take care of the cloud also. That is also one of the scenario. It can be anything. So if you are completely working as a Azure admin as a global team, then you will have more knowledge on the cloud because you are going to work on each and every service maximum. But if you're working as a DevOps engineer, you no need, you might not get chance to work on every service, because whichever services are required for your team project, only those services you will use it and you will finish your DevOps job. So it depends how, what kind of uh, project we are working for. So this way, I think it's got deleted, and resource groups, no VNG RG is available now. So this is how we'll provide access. So you can also do some R&D, create user accounts. You try to give access to specific resources and block access to the resource. That is how you can do a lot of R&D. So tomorrow, what we are going to do, I will create the credentials here. So I will create inside the AWS account this AD, and there I will install Active Directory and create user account. And with the help of Azure AD Connect, will to sync with this AD to Azure Active Directory. So the user accounts should be visible over here, and then again we will provide access to the user accounts so that he can able to log in or use the Azure resources. Understood? So this is about today's session.